All right, guys, welcome back. So, I have an additional logo since you last saw this. Colors haven't changed, so that's good. But I think I'm gonna go with this new third one that I have. Just move that spade foot up into the body of it. And I think I'm kind of happy with that. So this is probably the one I'm gonna be going with. So once you have your logo, let me pull that up. The sheet, where'd it go? That's oh, I closed it. Okay, here we go. All right, so if we've got the logo itself, again, make sure you save your logo. Make sure you're saving everything while you're working on it. So first thing after the logo is going to be the business card, and that's going to be 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And so I'm going to go in here, and there's actually a setting that I saw when I was jumping through here for 3.5 by 2. Now, this has a bleed, and I will open this first, and then we'll jump into what a bleed is. So I'm going to set it to CMYK color because this is for print. I'm going to set it to 300 ppi for print, and then I'm going to leave the bleed at 1/8 inch. And what is bleed? So I'm going to hit create. We're just getting to that. What is bleed? So I put up this little example right here. So this white area you can see on the left here is kind of the drawing area that you're used to working with. And I've made that green over here, and then this red area is an extra area. And so what you do is you take that extra area and you will actually draw your graphics past the border of your drawing. Why would you do that? Because when you go to print, the person cutting the print isn't always going to be exact on where they cut. There are a couple places that will say, up to sometimes a 1/4 inch bleed. I'm more familiar with 1/8 inch myself. And so, what does that mean? So, if this was my business card here, we'll just pretend that it's all graphics there, and then I dropped it into a full sheet like this the person printing your graphic would actually use. You can see that there's these printer marks here, and the person who's actually cutting your artwork out can use those to track where your graphics begin and end compared to the rest of your drawing. And then they can set up a giant sheet like this and run your print through that, because there's no print shop printing off single business cards at a time. They're printing out a whole mess of them like this. And if you order 500, you get usually some weird number with, close to 500 or above 500. But usually print shops will print a little bit above and then keep some for samples and give you 500 and some change. And then once they print them out like that, you end up cutting them on a big scary printer cutter or a cutting machine like this. And that guy's got glasses on, which actually makes me rethink a couple months of my life. So, um, okay, so what's the other advantage of doing it like this? So, if if I was to update my graphics on my artwork, um, and save this, because I'm using a linked file here, I can go into InDesign and go to links, and I can update my link, and we'd very easily still be able to see right here because it puts them on top, those little cut-in marks. So you can actually see, God, no one's going to get this joke. I don't even know how I'm doing it. Anyway, so that's why you would set up something with a bleed. So that's why we're going to be doing that, is because anytime you're working with print, you need to specify if you should specify there's a bleed, and if there's a bleed, how thick is it? And generally, it's going to be 1/4 inch, 3/8, or sorry, 1/8 inch, 3/8, or 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch. Why do I want to say 3/8? I guess some places do 3/8. But generally 3/8 is kind of the standard now. A lot of the machines are better and cut tighter and everything. So here's my business card. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a new logo file from here. So that was kind of the work surface for my logo, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. We don't need it super big, not that it really matters. I'm just going to do a business card size one, and then we'll just kind of modify the size here. So I'm doing document setup, that's file, document setup, or you can click on it right here in the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, I'm going with this one. I'm just going to paste my logo in here. And what I'm going to do is just make it the size that I need this to be. And it's going to make it a little bit easier to work with. And once I've done that, I'm just going to make it just a tiny bit smaller. You don't have to do this, but it's something that I've found kind of helps you actually work with your logo. So I'm going to save this. We're going to call it logo final. Oops, final. And then we'll do save as again, and I'll generate a PDF off of this. And I'll actually use this PDF to work with. Okay, so that's done. Alright, so here's my folder. We can close this now. Yeah, we'll save that. Alright, so business card. I will drag logo final in here. And now we can start working. So, what do I want to do with this? And typically, it's nice to work kind of in a rule of thirds fashion here. So if we do, let me kind of show you, and if you've taken photography classes, you kind of know what this is, or if you've posted something on Instagram, because they have a really nice thirds layout built into the app. So you've got this grid here, and usually you want to try and place things to get good focus right around where that space is. And so I wouldn't want to necessarily put it right there, but I'm kind of happy with it right about there. And I think visually that's a good spot for that. I'll just get this over here. One other thing too. So along with the bleed, there's typically a little bit of a margin you want to leave for print artwork. Not critical for this project, but usually you don't want to have your artwork right up against that border. Again, the printer can go too far one direction, but they can also go a little bit too far in the other when cutting. So it's usually best to leave your artwork with a little bit of a margin just on the inside, and sometimes I usually like to make it about that much. So we'll put our logo here, and then so I want to sort of bring in other elements from my logo itself. And so that's why it's nice having kind of another, I shouldn't have closed it is what I shouldn't have done. Let's open that back up. So sometimes it's nice having the original logo file like this, and you can actually go in there, and if you double click on anything that you've grouped, or whatever you did to it to get it to that point, you can also do the same and ungroup it. So I'm going to go in here and just kind of ungroup it until I can get this. And that should be that part too. Yes, okay. So I want to grab this part of my logo. Can get rid of that. And I'm going to use it as sort of background somehow. And so usually it's nice taking design elements from your artwork and actually incorporating them in the rest of the design. And so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to go a little bit into the bleed with this. And then I am going to, let's see, I can make it opaque, but it's actually just going to show through itself. Yeah, it's just going to look muddy. So what I can do instead is just try and get some lighter gray colors. And we'll just make these white. We'll give it like a fake transparency. And we'll just move it right there. And this can help kind of just tie everything together. So I've got that right there. And then another option that I can do is I'd like to get kind of just another offset logo here. So I'm going to copy, paste in place this big circle right here. And then I'll just do a subtraction. And again, I want this to be super kind of light. So this, I'm going to crank that opacity way down. And then I do want some kind of a background color. We'll go with this and see how that works. When in doubt, if going small doesn't work, sometimes you just go really big too. So let's lock that. Oops. Lock that into place. And then we'll just take this, delete that. Oh, no. Subtract that. And then we can just place this on top. Oops. Missed that handle. Alright. So we'll just go really big on this. And let's see. Oh, there's a little extra line there. I'll have to fix the other thing. Let's see. Let's actually move this other artboard away here so that we don't accidentally get them stuck together like that. Okay. Back in the spot. Okay, so I'm going to keep the logo where it's at, but I'm just going to make this super opaque. And it'll just give some design to the card itself. Not that opaque. Okay, and then okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. Simple design, keep it clean. Alright, so text. The other thing is I can actually go back to my original logo file and stop that. And because I saved the text off to the side here, I can actually copy and paste some of that into my drawing here. So we can actually take these originals and then just put a more standard excuse me, or more kind of professional use of the logo here, and I'm just going to do like a thin line. I don't know, sometimes there's a more formal and less formal use of the logo itself. Okay, so then we'll have that text there, and I'm really hating this. gonna, yeah, it won't let me do that. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Cool. Really? Still, okay. We will separate the layers then. Just lock that layer. All right. So, so with that, then you can start putting in kind of just the details for the business card itself. So in the proof, again, it was just kind of throw in some generic information there. I don't want your actual addresses. So I'm just going to put John Doe. Sometimes the title is nice. You know, I hope people get jokes at some point. And then that's too long. We'll just do regional manager and I'll be more serious about it. So title, name, give a little bit of a text hierarchy to titles. And you can either left justify or right justify. I think that looks good right there. Other information to include. Phone number, contact information, jdoe@queensicecream.com. And usually you get kind of like longer things with that. And then we'll do phone number 3-456-7090, extension 1. And this one we will left justify on the other side here. Now, what else do we want? Dummy phone number, dummy email, website address. Okay, so on the back, we'll then just list kind of, sorry, unlock that. So we'll leave the text layer that we have there locked now. And what I'm going to do is, I still want, actually let's go back to the text layer. I want to make this text a little bit bigger. Yeah, the one with 14, that's good. We'll do that right there. Okay. We can bring this a tiny bit in here. I want to kind of... So again, I'm trying to tie as much of this font in. I don't want to mess with too much script, just because script's hard to read. And so I'm just trying to kind of work that in here. Let's see. Yeah, and then we'll just do color on the other side too. And we will grab, lock that again. We'll grab the same font. Fine. We'll do a text. We'll do a text window like that. And sample that. Fine.
try not to do the Papa John's thing here.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm not gonna worry too much about that part. So we will center align this. It's always nice to have something on the back, but don't always crowd the full back either. So I want that big enough to fit across the back, but also sometimes people write stuff on their business card, so you don't always want to just kind of choke both sides out with content. You do want to kind of sometimes leave space. And then we will bump up the line spacing just a tiny bit. Actually, let's do this one. There we go. Natural fun. Natural enjoyment sounds like a robot. Okay, and then, so I did the top of the ice cream on that. I'm just going to be a little bit sneaky and come back here, and I'm going to steal the bottom half of the cone as well. And then again, we'll delete that part. Oop, or we will subtract that part. And then again, just make it kind of, oops, really, really big. And then go super light. And that kind of ties the front and the back together. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Again, going for simple here, don't go crazy. Okay, so you guys will save this. I'm going to pause this video and we will move on to the business card in the next one. 22 minutes, not bad.